Welcome, ghouls, to our Season 2, Episode 9 of the Shrouded in Darkness podcast, where we shine a light on the cases that the world forgot. This is your true crime obsessed host, Marlena. And today, we have a short one. Our sources include the Vanished podcast, KMTR, the Chronicle 1909, and KEXI News. Our case takes us to Blue River, Oregon, where we learn about the death of Shane Sprenger. Just a heads up, this one is unsolved and very little information seems to be available. Shane Sprenger was born in 1974 to Marge and Elder Sprenger. He grew up on a Minnesota farm as the only boy of 5 children. In 2002, Shane moves to Oregon with his girlfriend. He starts his own construction company and spends his free time outdoors. He's described as a hard-working person, often working from dusk till dawn. After the move to Oregon, Shane's girlfriend passes away. I'm unable to find any further details on this. I know that he later meets someone named Crystal, and this is who he would eventually marry. We move into early September of 2020. A wildfire devastates the small Oregon community. Shane, like so many others, loses everything to the fires. He and Crystal have to start over, and they choose to use a travel trailer, and they have plans of building their dream home later in Vida, Oregon. We do learn later on that Shane and Crystal had marital problems. At one point, they'd even discussed divorce. It's also important to know that she had an off and on again drug problem throughout their relationship. Also on Shane's property with their travel trailer, there are 3 other individuals that more or less live there. He has his best friend, who was also an ex-employee, named Justin. He lived in a separate trailer. Justin was known to have an addiction problem. There's also a homeless man named Ray who would start living somewhere on the property. And lastly, there's someone named Eric, which there's very little information on him. I did find that Shane apparently found him asleep in his trailer once, and he was super upset about it. But reports show that he's still around the same time at this case. So there's Shane and Crystal, Justin, Ray, and Eric all living on the same property. So now let's get into the specific timeline of our case. It's November 2nd, 2021. So it's been more than a year since the fires, and Crystal and Shane still live in their travel trailer. It's an ordinary Tuesday for Shane. His day began at a work site near McKenzie Bridge, 23 miles from his home. Around 9:30 a.m., he left work to go home. We're uncertain of the reason he was going home, but we know that he planned to return to work that same day because he left tools still plugged in and never put them away or anything, which shows he's coming back. But they also had plans to meet a subcontractor. Only Shane never returns to work. Nothing really happens over the next few days. It's actually 3 days later when a friend finds Shane's truck near the Blue River Reservoir. It's about 16 miles from his home and about 10 miles from the work site. Now, in normal circumstances, finding his truck here would not be unusual. It's a great spot for mushroom hunting, and we know that Shane loves the outdoors. But we know he hadn't returned to work on the 2nd, and that's what was really out of character for him. So missing from work and then randomly finding an abandoned vehicle, that was enough to make anyone worry. So on this day, when the vehicle was found, a missing person report was filed. And I've not actually found any names specific to the filing. It just says that it was completed by family and friends. And some people say it was the people that lived on his property, that they're the ones that reported it. But I can't find anything definite on that. So it's the next day, which would be November 6th, so 4 days since he left work. Shane's family in Minnesota learned that he is missing. Without hesitation, they pack up and travel to Oregon to help in the search. During this time, the family grows more and more concerned, and they're really concerned because of Crystal's behavior. You know, why hadn't she reported Shane missing when it first happened? You know, it's taken 3 days for him to be reported and 4 days for his family to find out. It also seems that she didn't really help in the search for him. It's almost like she treated it as dismissive, or she was unconcerned or unworried. So Shane's family, of course, they just continue to grow worried. There's still no word of him. They still can't get in touch with him. They still can't find him. Disappearing and not contacting them for this long was way out of character for him. The Lane County Sheriff's Search and Rescue Team, along with family and friends, searched different areas for him. I imagine that they searched the specific area of where his truck was found, but also any areas that he frequented. Like I've said a couple times, he was an outdoor enthusiast, so he probably had some favorite areas, some favorite trails or parks. One of Shane's sisters suggested speaking to those that live on Shane's property: Crystal, Justin, Ray, and Eric. She felt like they could be responsible for Shane's suspicious disappearance. Weeks pass. Months pass. Still no leads, no evidence, nothing. We move into June of 2023, so 2 years later. Partial human remains are found near the McKenzie drainage area. These are confirmed to be Shane's. And then again in September that same year, they find more remains along the McKenzie River, also belonging to Shane. Per usual, there are theories of what could have happened to Shane Sprenger. Was he so upset about his marriage that he ran off, with her having, her having drug issues, them having ongoing marital problems? Was it just too much for him to handle? Or was he doing what he loves, being outside in the wilderness and somehow injure himself? Could it have been suicide? To this day, the case still remains open and unsolved. And what baffles me the most is how little information is available. There's very little available to the public, and all that we've been able to find are that there are some remains of his. In my opinion, because they were found at a couple of different areas and it was literally just parts, that makes me wonder if there was foul play, involved. And also, if you take into account of how many days passed before anyone even knew he was gone, that's a red flag. This case has a few of those. I feel like this story needs to be shared. We need to find out what happened to Shane and who is to blame for his family. They deserve answers. So like I said, this was a super short case, but it doesn't make the victim any less important. But if you have any details worth sharing, maybe you have your own theory, please reach out. You can connect with us on Instagram and WordPress. Just search for the Shrouded in Darkness podcast. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. And if there's a case in your hometown that deserves attention, send it to us. You can tune in next week as we dive into the brutal yogurt shop murders. Until next time, ghouls, remember, the truth is always hiding in the darkness.